Greetings and fellow Fright Fiends, and thanks for dropping by the Horror Zone. I hope everyone's doing well. This is a very impromptu video. Just had an itching to kind of do a video and hadn't done one in a while outside of a couple that I've done in the last few weeks. February was a really quiet month on the Horror Zone. I've been working on my writing. I have a couple of things that I'm working on writing-wise, and I'm not giving a due date of when I'm going to be done, but I am actively writing, and I have a short story compilation that I'm doing, Horror Zone short story compilation that I'm doing. So that's something I'm actively working on, and then I'm also planning another writing project that I initially had thought about not doing, but then something kind of brought me back to it. But I'm going to finish the short stories first before I jump to that one, because I don't want to, I don't want to get distracted by something else while I'm working on something and putting focus into that. So today's video is just going to be showcasing some Blu-rays and DVDs and giving a little talk about maybe just some things that are on my mind and some things that I have planned for the channel going forward into March and spring. I'm so glad that it's almost spring. I hate winter. I love fall, and spring are my favorite times of year. We got a birthday coming up in a couple of weeks, well, about a month and a half. 46th birthday, which is crazy. I have some tattoos that I'm going to be getting soon, and work has been really busy, so just been focusing on work and my writing, and just haven't had a lot of drive to do content. I've gotten a pretty good stack of Blu-rays and DVDs. These are mostly horror. There's a couple that aren't, but they all, I haven't talked about them on the channel. I've posted them on Instagram and showed, a few of them when I've gone to like Rasputin's. It's like my new thing. I love going and getting secondhand Blu-rays and DVDs. It's like my favorite thing to do. And twice in the last month I've gone and not spend a ton of money, but you can find some really good deals. And some of these movies I don't want to pay, ridiculous amounts of money for. I just want the movie. I don't need like all the special stuff. There's some that, I have to get them as soon as they come out. And then there's others I'm like, if I can find a deal, a deal's a deal. So what I'll do is I'm going to showcase these movies, talk a little bit about them, talk about some upcoming segments that'll be on the channel. March will be a much more full month for content-wise here on the channel. I really appreciate people that are sticking with me and supporting me. My subscriber rate has jumped. I don't know how, because like I said, February is a very quiet month on the channel, but I've gone to 3,041 subscribers. That could change, but thank you all for continuing to show support to the Boogeyman and the Horror Zone. Again, I do this for fun. I do this out of love. Again, this isn't for money. This isn't for, anything other than an outlet to share my love for the horror genre and just for things that I want to talk about, relating to pop culture and things like that, but mostly horror, of course. You guys all know that. So without further ado, I'm going to go through these movies that I got. And some of these are actually going to play into upcoming segments that I want to do here on the channel that I'm really excited about. First one I want to talk about is one I got way back in the beginning of January. That's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Quentin Tarantino's newest film, which is becoming probably my favorite Quentin Tarantino movie. I know Hateful Eight is still up there, but man, is this movie good. The dynamic between Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt is just absolutely amazing, and I love the story, the backdrop of late 1960s Hollywood. I just love everything about this film, and Tarantino's a master class director. He's a genius. My favorite director working right now. I just absolutely love the guy and cannot wait to see what else he does. But yeah, this film is fantastic. This is a great release, but yeah, it's such a great film, and like I said, I can't get enough of it, and I enjoy watching it quite a bit. I think one week right leading up to the Oscars, which I was so happy Brad Pitt won for Best Supporting Actor, but I think that week I watched it like 4 or 5 times. The next film I want to talk about is another film that is becoming one of my favorite films of all time, and that is Dr. Sleep. Revisiting this film quite a bit in the last month since it released, and this is one I did pick up the day that it dropped. It's so fluid, it's so well done, so well crafted, not only paying tribute to Kubrick's masterpiece of a film and, kind of adding some extra layers to it, but also King's novelization, his original The Shining, and his book Dr. Sleep. Such a great release. Mike Flanagan deserves so much praise. He is so underappreciated, and he has made, in my opinion, one of the best Stephen King adaptations, and it is probably going to be in my top 5. It's fantastic. Absolutely love this film. I absolutely recommend getting this if you haven't already. I got this the day it dropped, beginning of February. One of my favorite releases. Next film I want to detail about this one, because I won't talk in great detail about this one because I do want to do a segment on the channel about it, and that's Trick. This was directed by Patrick Lussier, written by Todd Farmer, who did Todd Farmer previously did Jason X. He wrote that. He also worked with Patrick Lussier. They previously collaborated on My Bloody Valentine 3D and Drive Angry. This is a really, you know, kind of a new take on a slasher. You have actors like Omar Epps and Tom Atkins, the legendary Tom Atkins in this. It is a film I want to talk about, so I'm not going to go into great detail about it. It was one that I had wanted to see last year. I believe it dropped on VOD last year. I don't remember exactly when it was released on DVD and Blu-ray, but found it relatively cheap. Bought it. It was a blind buy. I hadn't seen it previously, but I did watch it, and I'm anxious to talk about it here on the channel. Next ones, these are ones that I've picked up secondhand, but got some really good deals. So the first one I picked up is The Fourth Kind. I don't know if people have seen this one, but it's kind of like done in a documentary, found footage with regular narrative spliced into it to sort of fill in the gaps. My wife and I watched this kind of blindly. Mila Jovovich is in it. And it deals with alien encounters, and it's one of the scariest movies we've ever seen. It actually freaked us out so much, I think we slept with the lights on that night. We haven't seen it since, but I found it for like $3 at Rasputin's, so I had to pick it up. May do a segment on it on the channel, like an underrated horror film. A lot of people wrote this off because, of course, you know, it was proven that the found footage style video that was in this was not real. But it's done so well that going into it and not knowing anything about it, it scared the shit out of us. And yeah, I'm anxious to revisit this one because I haven't seen it in years. Next one I picked up was Frailty. This was directed by the late great Bill Paxton, an actor I was a huge fan of and missed greatly. It just happened to be that it was the anniversary of his passing. I think it was exactly 3 years ago when I picked this up last week. And this was a film I've only seen once, but he directed this film. And it stars Matthew McConaughey and him and the late Howard Booth, who was another actor I was a huge fan of. This is one I need to revisit. I've only seen it once, and I saw it when it debuted like nearly 20 years ago. So was happy to get this one. Got it again relatively cheap. Will be fun to revisit that one. Next one is one of the non-horror films in the pile here, and that is The Principal. This is a Jim Belushi, Louis Gossett Jr. film that was actually shot really close to where I live. A lot of the exterior footage, the school Brandel, was actually shot in Oakland. I know exactly where it is. Some of the high school footage at the beginning is shot close to where I live now. And I'm actually thinking about doing an on-location video focused on this film. This is a film I grew up loving. I was a huge fan of Jim Belushi and Louis Gossett Jr. And you got Ray Don Chung, you got J.J. Cohen, a lot of great people in this film. And the fact that it was shot around here, I still remember seeing in the paper that they were using one of the high schools in this area to shoot some of the footage for this film. And yeah, I can't wait to revisit this film after many years. My grandfather, my late great-grandfather, who I talk about a lot when it comes to Rambo and those kinds of films, we watched that film together with my grandmother summer of '88, I believe, and it came out in '87. So yeah, I was really happy to pick that one up. Next one is a Blu-ray secondhand, and that is Brightburn. Yeah, I had a blast watching this film. And you know, dark take on Superman. Of course, James Gunn was involved in this one. But yeah, I really liked this film and was happy to get this. Really got a good deal on it. Huge fan of Scott Derrickson from films like Sinister and Doctor Strange, Exorcism of Emily Rose. This is a very scary film and very well done. Film I cannot recommend enough, and people need to check this one out if they haven't. Very disturbing, very well done, an excellent film. Next two kind of go hand in hand, and these are two that I'm planning on doing a segment on. Back in the late 90s and early 2000s, Dark Castle was doing a lot of remakes of William Castle films. So you had like House on Haunted Hill, you had 13 Ghosts, you also had Ghost Ship, which was a film that I only saw once and I didn't like it first time I saw it. And then you also have Gothica. These are two of the Dark Castle films that I did not have. I got both of these for like $250 or something like that. It was crazy cheap what I got them for. But revisited both of them. I actually saw this one in the theater. It came out the year that my wife and I got married, and I remember going to see this in the theater. Huge fan of Halle Berry. Had Robert Downey Jr. before he became Iron Man, so this is before pre-Iron Man fame, and really had a good time watching both of these. But I'm planning on doing a Dark Castle segment series on my channel and talking about all of these films. So that'll be something that I'll be doing probably as we get closer to summer. But yeah, I was really happy to get these and revisit them after so many years. And the last one I got from Rasputin's was The Messengers. This features Kristen Stewart, Dylan McDermott. I have the sequel, prequel, which featured Norman Reedus. I got that years ago, probably, God, at least 6-7 years ago. But I never got the original one. But I got this one and I rewatched it, and I actually really liked it. I had only seen it one other time, but it was really fun kind of checking this one out again. I think Kristen Stewart gets a lot of shit unfairly. She's a really good actress, and I've been a fan of her since Panic Room. And I always like Dylan McDermott. Also, John Corbett's really good in it, and I like the setting, the house with the sunflower fields and stuff like that. It's really eerie, really well done. You know, some of the ghosts are CG, but I still think it's effective, and yeah, I liked it. It was really fun checking it out again. And then the last two films I got at like a hospice Salvation Army kind of store that they have around here. And I picked up Arlington Road, which is a really good film with Jeff Bridges and Tim Robbins, two actors I greatly respect. And this movie is very disturbing if you haven't seen it. Really a disturbing film. Goes in a very dark direction very quickly, and the ending I still think packs a humongous punch. But yeah, I got this for like $2, so never had it in my collection. The last one I got is Queen of the Damned, which featured Aaliyah, the late great singer, someone I loved and was very heartbroken when she passed away from a plane crash back in 2001. I remember not liking this film very much because I love Interview with a Vampire with Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt, but not a huge fan of Stuart Townsend as Lestat. But was anxious, you know, kind of curious about checking this one out again. It's been, again, very much like Frailty and some of those other films I talked about. I haven't seen this film since it was in the theaters, so it would be really cool to check it out again and see if I have a new perspective on it. I know it's, you know, it's a movie where they combine two novels, The Vampire Lestat and Queen of the Damned, and my wife, who had read both, just said it felt off when she watched it, but anxious to check it out. One thing I do remember about it, the music is really good in it. So yeah, so pretty big stack of movies. Just wanted to showcase some of them. I haven't done a video like this in a while. I did show some of the movies I got for Christmas, but a big stack of Blu-rays and DVDs. Yeah, pretty big stack of movies here. And I do have some cool segments that I want to work on here on the channel. I do have a zone, history of the horror zone, I'm going to call it, I think. Talking about just pretty much how this room came to be and why it's so important to me. It'll be a tour as well. I'm not going to pick up every item in this room because it'll take forever, but I wanted to do something a little bit different, and I know my friend Brandon has been asking for me to do a tour of this room, so that will be coming up this month. That's one of the biggest ones I'm going to work on this month. Also, I do have an underrated horror segment on Bones. I want to do one on Mothman Prophecies, which is another horror film that I think is greatly underappreciated. And then, of course, we have another Friday the 13th coming up in less than 2 weeks. So I will be doing a traditional Friday the 13th video. I haven't decided what I'm going to do. I don't think it's going to be as big as my last one where I talked about, it was called Growing Up at Camp Crystal Lake. That one was a pretty big undertaking. This one's going to be a little bit smaller scale, but of course, I always have to do something to recognize Jason's Special Day, favorite horror film franchise ever. So that is going to be it, Philippines. Thank you so much for checking out this video and supporting the Horror Zone. It really means a lot to me, and you know, I try to keep this content positive. I know there's a lot of negative content on YouTube, a lot of people that become successful by doing horrible things, and one thing I've always prided myself on with what I do here is I always keep it positive, I always keep it real. I'm not in this for fame or fortune. I do this just for fun, and I still enjoy doing it, and the Horror Zone will continue to be a part of my life and hopefully a part of everyone else's life as long as everyone wants it. So thanks so much for watching. Hope everyone has a great evening. Stay safe, stay scared. I'll talk to you guys later. Thank everyone for taking this time to drop by the Horror Zone. It really means a lot to me that people are supporting what I do here. If you like this video, please hit the subscribe button down below. I upload videos at least once or twice a week. It would really mean a lot if people would spread the word about this channel. This is a passion of mine. I love the horror genre, and I'm really happy to share my love of it with all of you. So thanks so much again for checking it out, and I'll talk to you guys later. Take it easy. Peace.